Test, test, 1, 2, 3, test, test, 1, 2, 3. What's going on, team? It's Ricky with Learn, Plan, Profit. I hope that you guys are all having a good start to the morning. It looks like the overall market is at least at a better start than it was yesterday. We have a majority of tech in the green. We got Tesla in the green, nearly up 1%. Spotify pretty much break even. Amazon pretty much break even. PTON up 2.3%. This is the very important one. SQQQ, it's down 1%. TQQQ is up 1.3%. So a step in the right direction. It looks like the market's trying to find or at least establish a support level. And on the 4-hour time frame, it makes sense. Quick little heads up, it could still continue to drop. It could still break below that SMA line. Of course, we don't want it to. Kinda. No, not really, right? But as of right now, it's doing a really good job holding above the SMA line. But one of the things that I want to share with you is in the past before, we have traded below the SMA line and we still recovered. We traded below the SMA line and still recovered, and we traded below the SMA line and still recovered. So although it looks decent right now because we're holding above the SMA line, there are a couple of times that we do break below and we still recover. So I'm just trying to prepare you for worst case scenario, right? Making sure that you're not surprised if the market does pull back a little bit further than anticipated and you just really begin to freak out. So good morning, good morning. What's going on? Ty, Patrick, Jeff, Alex, Nathaniel, Brian, Murray. What's going on? Is that Monirac, Lori, Nick, Luke, Chana, Chaquana. But yeah, I hope that you guys are all having a good start to your morning. And today looks like we'll have to see how, the market literally just opened. So we'll have to see if we actually hold at this level and begin to indicate signs of a slight recovery, right? I know that TQQQ during the pre-market session was performing very, very well. It was trading around the 130, 131 general area, as you guys can see up here. So that's pretty exciting. It sold off a little bit, getting rejected by the SMA line. So something to take into consideration. Excuse me. But I'm pretty excited for how it currently looks, just for the overall market. And I'm excited to add more to my TQQQ position. So I wanted to answer some open-ended questions that you guys might have right now about the market or about a specific stock. Specifics are going to be a little bit more difficult, right? Because I feel like a lot of the overall market is being influenced by, or any stock in general is being heavily influenced by the overall market. So just something that we need to take into consideration. So I want to see what you think about Gush. So Gush and Drip, those are inverse ETFs, right? On the 4-hour time frame, let's check this out. This isn't even Gush. Okay, Gush, very bullish but very overbought. So it's DRIP that it has been recently pulling on back. Okay, I see what are you trying to insinuate that, hey, Drip might be setting up for a potential reversal, while Gush, the bull ETF right now, is a little bit more on, holding above EMA, some pullback potential, a little bit more on the overbought side. Definitely something to take into consideration, right? All right. Got Robinhood. Starbucks. P2N drop in again. Alright. So my thoughts on Tesla, although the market has been a little rough, right? The market's been pulling back. Yesterday was one of the first days that I've seen Tesla actually you know, not do well. While the overall market's been bearish, Tesla's kind of been doing its own thing. So I wouldn't even worry too much about um, Tesla in the sense that the market doesn't seem like it's affecting it too much in comparison to a lot of the other stocks, where in very simple terms, like, is Tesla a very cheap stock right now? No, right? I mean, it's nearly at $800. It hasn't been at that price point in a really long time. It's testing its support at the SMA line, at the EMA line. So if we break below it, just like we have multiple times before, it wouldn't be much of a surprise if we retest 730 as a support level, right? So you just need to be aware of that, of how it trades, of how it could pull back. Obviously, if we hold above this, it looks like it's going to retest $800 as a resistance level. So just understand that that's kind of where we're at. We're here to see if it's going to hold above and then retest 800, and or if it breaks below EMA and then tests its support level once again, just like it has in the past month. It's done it twice, right? Where it becomes overbought, pulls back, becomes overbought, pulls back. So we can't be surprised if it does that once again, as it is within its character. But I would just be careful with your position size, making sure that if it does pull back, you're prepared, but that's only when it breaks below EMA, right? As of right now, it's looking still decent, although the market's been a little bit more on the bad side. Tesla's been performing it the best it has in the past nearly year, right? Nice push on the hood. Looks like the market's pulling back a little bit right now. And this is definitely something that we have to be careful with, right? These like false reversals. Excuse me. So we're testing to see if we actually hold above the SMA line and EMA line around this general area, or if we break right back down below. Was there any of you guys that were trading SQQQ that haven't locked in profits, or have you guys locked in profits already? So do you plan to buy any more SQQQ? Definitely not. So that's a good question, but I don't know if you guys saw, I uploaded kind of a later video yesterday, and I talked about my position on TQQQ, how I bought 60 shares, and even in yesterday's live stream, it's when I started buying a couple of shares of TQQQ. And the question you might have is why? Why is it that I might have bought a couple of shares, right? Well, looking how oversold it is, right? It made sense. And then if we look at it on the day chart, it looks a little bit more on the oversold side, and then there's 20% upside potential if it recovers. But like we know, it could still sell off, which is why I only went in with less than a 10% position size. And if it does begin to recover, then I'll really step on the gas and add more to my position size. But until then, I'm not super eager to buy the dip if we don't know if it's actually going to recover, right? There it goes. TQQQ is pulling back. There it goes. AMC with a strong push. Yeah, see that? Yes, on SQQQ, just scalping it. Okay. I day trade SQQ, locked in profit. That's honestly that's great that you guys understand that big picture. It's overbought, but it still can be bullish, right? So instead of holding it overnight, you just focus on day trading it, which allows you to manage and mitigate that risk. So I think that your intention is great as long as your risk management, if things go south, are A1. So AMC big push. Ricky, what would your max position in TQQQ be? Probably 100,000. That's the goal, to be in it with that much. So based off of pre-market highs, it didn't hold very well at 37.50, and it hasn't been holding well just in general. So if you're asking Ricky, why did you sell 600 shares up here? It's an overbought level based off of previous highs or previous lows. So because of that, I would rather be more optimistic on the idea that it doesn't have to recover, right? Could still continue to sell off. So this is why we want to lighten up the position size on it. There it goes. Here it goes, 37.52. $37.52, up 1.4%. We got TQQ with a really nice bounce, right? Here we go. TQQQ up 2.2%. Watch out for the resistance at $38. All right, reduced my position size to less than half. As you guys saw, right, at over 2,000 shares. AMC can still push up, but I just want to be more on the careful side with this. It's looking good for AMC. We're now trading above the EMA on the 1 hour time frame. We're now above $38 a share. That was a bad exit. I like that, Santiago. Definitely makes sense, right? The direction's in your favor, so why overcomplicate it? Here it goes, 38.10. So now I'm not super eager to sell, right? I don't need to sell. It looks overbought. Looks like we might pull back just a little bit. Let's see. Did it run out of fuel or momentum, right? Yeah. But finally a day that's not super red, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys can agree. It like just gives you kind of, it allows you to almost like breathe a little bit more confidently. But again, it's part of the process. So this is why, again, I'm reducing the position size just in case we drop right back down to $36. I can buy the dip and, have a decent average purchase price. I'm not super eager to get back into AMC. So I got to make sure that I tread lightly when the direction is not in my favor. I think that's a good way to put it. Tread lightly when the direction is not in our favor. So are you waiting for a pullback to buy in again? Yeah, I'd like to. Are you talking about AMC? I will probably, if the market continues like it's what it's doing right now, if it remains in the green, right? TQQQ is up 2.3%. A majority of the stocks that I'm long on are in the green. I would love to add more to those positions. I would love to, right? Even if I just buy like $10,000 worth of each stock, but if I add more to each position, I would like to. I don't have to average up into it super aggressively. I'm just going to add 10 more percent or even 5 more percent, depending on how much I'm already invested. But I think we did good. I think we did good with the push. Now it's pulling back a little bit. So Market's pulling back a little bit, as it should. How do you guys feel right now, right? Yesterday I was asking you guys, so hey Ricky, will you be adding to your PTON position? PTON is probably one of the lightest positions that I have, so I would feel very comfortable, Brian, adding an additional $5,000 or $10,000 to my position at $90 a share. A lot of you guys know that I bought PTON at $95 or $96 a share, so you know that my average purchase price, first off, isn't the lowest, and that should almost just act as a reassurance for all of you guys of like, this is why we buy such a small position at first, and you'll get more comfortable with it. Like, trust me, like as you practice, you'll get more comfortable with it. And right now, I'm seeing it trade nearly $10 less than what I bought it at. And yes, it does suck, but it's like I understand the price and the deal that I got it for, big picture. And I understand that I got in for a smaller position size. So I'm not freaking out. I'm not uneasy about it. I'm okay. I'm okay with it. So I know you have red days, but overall, are you still green? I mean, when it comes down to the positions that I recently opened, like, yeah, even though I might be up on some, I definitely was having red days overall because I had so much money invested in other areas. But the market pulling back, it drops these stocks 2 to 3%. So even if they drop 4 to 5%, like, yeah, it does suck. But again, it's such a light position. It's like we're only going to be adding more to it, so it's really not that bad of a circumstance because of the position size. So it's just like it just sucks to see so much red, but it's not that big of a deal. Feeling better, seeing my trades recovering a bit from yesterday's sell-off. Yeah, yesterday's sell-off was a little bit more aggressive, right? So definitely something to take into consideration where, this at least allows you to like breathe a little bit with, what's been going on with the market. So, hey, just bought your course a few minutes ago. Much love from Germany. What's going on, man? Happy to have you here. But yeah, if you have any questions, even during this live stream or after, feel free to message me via Discord. So it all depends on the trades, right? There's times that I hold on to day trades for just a couple of minutes. There's sometimes that I can hold on to it for, the remainder of the day and then sell after market hours. Every day is different. Every opportunity is different, right? If something fulfills its margin or its goal within a very short period of time, my job is to sell it. And if it doesn't and I give it time but it just doesn't fulfill it, then we'll have to manage it. Are you still holding Urban? I am. And look at it. I'm probably like either break even right now and or down a little bit on Urban, right? Hit lows of 31. Right now it's pretty much at 32. Hit overall highs of nearly 34. So, yeah. I was still thinking of buying Shopify, but I'll have to contemplate to see if this is still something that I want to aggressively buy on, but we'll see. Here it goes. AMC ready for a pullback. You guys see this? Yeah, I had some long positions. Like I bought Starbucks, I bought Twitter, I bought all of those different stocks. But I bought lightly enough that it didn't. I mean, the largest position that I had was like Pinterest, and it was like 100,000 or 80,000 at the time. Um, and I was down like 6%. So yeah, that one did suck to be down on that one. But again, that's the position that I put myself in. So I either had to reduce the position size or just be okay with being able to tolerate that pullback. All the other positions were very, very light, and it was not anything that I was, you know, um, worried about or very, eager for the markets to recover because my position was so light. So if anything, it did me good them pulling back a little bit so I can load up a little bit more on them at these oversold levels. Has it IPO'd already? First watch. Would you buy AMC again? I would. Yeah, you guys know that I trade AMC from time, obviously pretty often. If it pulls on back and it begins to establish a support back at 36.80, I mean that's quite a bit of margin, right? It's the whole reason that I loaded off up here to be able to tolerate the pullback once again a little bit better, and then being able to ride the recovery. So yeah, I mean that's 2% margin, 2.5%, right? That's a great reversal opportunity. So, but that's right around $37. So, am I eager to buy at $37.50? Am I eager to buy the dip? No. But if it sells off down to sub 37, I hope yeah, I'll load up on it. I'll buy 500 shares. But yeah. I don't know if it's as big as Dutch Bros, but it would be somewhat similar. We'll see if it catches a lot of attention like Dutch Bros. Bros did a really good job with its marketing right before its IPO, and it performed very, very well. So we'll see if it performs the same. We've seen very good companies not have the best IPO day, right? But then they end up recovering after. At the end of the day, like I'm not really the biggest fan of trying to trade IPOs because they tend to drop shortly after. So we can follow up with Bros and just look at the past couple of days, right? After it IPO'd, it peaked, it hit highs of $61 and then dropping to 45. Like that's a lot of fluctuation, right? That's a big drop. If you actually do the math, that's a huge drop. That's 27%. Someone could be down 27%, right? It's like that's significant. So this is why it's very important to understand oversold, overbought levels and how these things correct themselves and then rally back up. I mean, Bros alone today is up not nearly 9%. That huge recovery, right? So you could see that it still has a lot of momentum. It still has a lot of attention, a lot of hype behind it. It hasn't fully corrected itself, which is something to take into consideration, especially if your intention is to invest in a big picture. Then you got to make sure that you're not buying when the hype is present, because then once it corrects itself, you're just going to end up putting yourself in a bad position. So yeah, that's just going to be a little bit more difficult, right, Luis? So hey, Ricky, what do you think about researching companies in early stages that have products with potential? I mean, that's just based off of not just products with potential, but also making sure that they end up getting the results. Because it's not just seeing potential in something, but obviously getting the results, and then not even just that, because there's great quality companies that just also the stock itself doesn't get that type of attention. So I think it goes kind of hand in hand nowadays. Where is this something that can catch traction as well, right? Hype has a lot to do with the way that Tesla trades, right, and how much activity it experiences per day, being one of the most traded stocks on a consistent basis on a daily basis, right? Versus something else that might just be as big, but experiences 1/10 or 1/20th of the activity. Again, demand, attention, hype has a lot to do with it. So is it something that you can look into? Of course, you can test it out and see if it's something that you work well with. And if you see it do well, then all power to you. And if not, then you can learn from those mistakes and move on from there. What do I think about AR? What do I think about Wish? Let's go and break these down. So AR looks like it has a little bit on the lower side of volume. I like how this thing has been bullish. It's been making higher highs, higher lows. It's not a cheap stock. It's very overbought. So it wouldn't be much of a surprise if it pulls on back. So just taking that into consideration, I would just be very aware of that all is great until it breaks its pattern. So if it trades below the EMA, a quick drop would not be much of a surprise. So that would be my biggest thing. It's bullish, but if it breaks that channel of trading above EMA, then I would be very, very careful. And the next one is Wish. So Wish has been bearish, very consistent, very consistently selling off. We've talked about Wish for some while. Oversold does not mean that it's a good buy right now. We talked about it when it reported earnings, and it's still dropping. And this is one thing that we talked about, that right before it reported earnings, it was already cheap, and it dropped even further. So direction is not in your favor, to put it in very simple terms. direction is not in your favor, right? It's not indicating signs of growth, and it's still trading below the SMA line. So I'd be very, very careful. I would not take a position on that one right now, as it just wouldn't make sense. But yeah. Alrighty. Alright, so it looks like a couple of you have quite a bit of suggestions. A couple different stocks. Alright. Netflix, huge push, up nearly 4%, approaching 180-day highs. Congrats. Is it a cheap stock now? No. Would it make sense to lock in profits? Kinda. Or reduce position size at these overbought levels? Can it continue to rally? Of course, it's a very bullish stock. It's just, again, approaching previous highs. So just make sure you take that into consideration. NVDA. All right, this is going to be the last one. NVDA. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of NVIDIA. I think this is after it did its stock split, right? It did the stock split so it could be a little bit cheaper. I'm still not the biggest fan. I haven't been the biggest fan of NVIDIA. We could see that right now trading at lows of 200, a little bit more on the oversold side based off of previous highs right around 230. So about, what is that? 10 to 12% margins if it does make a recovery. So if you're into that and if we get confirmation of that reversal, then all power to you, right? Just because I don't trade something doesn't mean that you shouldn't. There we go. What's up? All right, so it has been consistently bullish. It looks like it has a little bit lower volume overall. Later, man, overall big picture. You can see that it recently pulled on back. It looks a little bit more on the oversold side. Looking at the R side, looking at the MACD. It's more of its overall direction that I would find attractive. And based off of previous highs from where we're at right now, I don't know why it's doing that, but what is that, 54 to 57? That's, yeah, that would be a little bit under 10% margin. So if that's something that you personally want to look into, then great. I would just really take into consideration that it has low volume and it's currently trading below the SMA line. So although it has been bullish before, patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to, right? So here it goes. AMC approaching previous highs once again. Retesting. It looks like it's going to be an interesting day. Please, all I want to share with you guys, and again, you guys are hearing me say this as someone that is invested in AMC, and I'm quite invested in a lot of the different stocks. A lot of the different stocks that I talked about. Please do not get too excited or too confident today. Today is one day after 3 to 4 red days. It's a step in the right direction. I'm all for that. If you choose to add more to your position size, do it tastefully, in the sense that the market does not have to fully recover right away. Of course, that's something that we're working towards, but please do not put yourself in a bad position by getting too confident today, buying aggressively, and then the market sells off the remainder of the week. Just do it tastefully. Understand that you have nothing but time. You shouldn't need to rush into it. Enjoy the process, embrace the process, embrace the struggle. This is why it feels so good at the end of it when you lock in profits after a successful trade, because you really feel like you earned it. Earn this, right? Do it tastefully, do it effectively, and stay efficient during a potential pullback. So just wanted to make sure that I set the right expectation. So alrighty. So today's the day to take some profit and to be prepared for more drops. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say the market's going to drop even more. I mean, we don't know, right? But I just don't want to be overconfident and be like, yeah, the market has to recover. We're at the SMA line on the 4-hour time frame for the NASDAQ market. But it could easily drop again, and I would just hate for you to buy aggressively the market sells off, you cut losses, and then it recovers. That's the worst, that's the worst feeling, because then you feel like you were robbed. But it's because the steps that you took put you in a position where you were irrational. Do not put yourself in a position to be irrational. And I get it. It's much easier said than done. All I'm here to remind you is while the market's looking a little bit better, don't get too confident. Do it tastefully. Do it effectively, and stay disciplined. Set up that plan, right? I appreciate you guys' time. I hope and wish you guys an amazing rest of your Tuesday. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to message me via Discord. And friendly reminder, you guys can visit our Shop TechBuds site, and if you guys want anything with like the trading mouse pads, anything when it comes down to the flags, everything on the site starts at $19, and everyone that's part of LPP gets 20% off. Make sure you use promo code LPP at checkout to get that 20% off. And again, yeah. So anything on the site, I think it's the third link in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to message me via Discord. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year